What's happening around this campus, everybody? I'm Tommy, and you're on a boat. How you been? You are on the lifeboat. What's happening? Riding on the lifeboat, riding on the lifeboat. You guys probably don't know that song because you haven't been around long enough, but we had a great tune written for us back in the day by the boys over at Marfugal News. Did a hell of a job. One of these days we'll have to play it. Sharon Smith, good to see you. Mrs. G, what's happening? Hey, Linsanity. Glad you're out of the hospital, Linsanity. Jane Aldrich, good to see you. Miss G. My other's keeper, Jason P. Nicola E. is here. Charlie Muffins, what's happening, Murphy? Sandy Wendy, good to see you. Jane Aldrich is still not fast enough for greeting everybody. I am officially greeting everybody on behalf of Jane Aldrich this evening. Jane, you got a pass. There you go. Come on, kid. Come up here. Good girl. Kid's going to be chilling it with me, toughly for the duration of the show or until she gets bored. How you doing, kid? This kid's such a good girl. She really is. She's a great cat. Meredith Lynn, good to see you. I'm glad that you're here. The kid, Moose, be nice to your sister. Fancy Nancy, West Coast Variety, good to see you. Allison Metcalf Palumbo, glad you're here. Danielle Lippincott, what's happening? Glad you're here. Hey, Rona Cooley. Kristen Melinda. How are you? Go ahead and get some food, Moose. That's him being whiny. See him? There he goes. Now he's up there getting food. And that makes, I'm going to be honest with you, man. Kid's not real happy when other people eat her food. She gets kind of dicey about it. Yarn Prepper, good to see you. My other's keeper, what's happening? Irrelevant Panda's here. And Florence is here. Sweet Liberty. Aunt KK. That would be Karen Pooley. If you're keeping score. Tone Robin, how are you? Glad you're here. Ivy's mama's here. We got a hi all. You gotta like a hi all. Hi all. Hi all. Hello, Anna. Good to see you, Anna. I Live for Now is here. Maggie. What are you talk about? What am I going to talk about this evening? Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I thought. Hello, Wilford. I don't know. Tell you what. Let's get it underway. What do you think? Kim is Blue is here. We could probably get this thing underway. I'll keep shouting some people out as they pop in, but I think we could probably get this thing underway. Honestly, I'm going to talk today about being a happy camper. There's a lot of people that are bumming out. We talked about it yesterday, and I'm not going to get into the whys because I'm done talking about the whys. Casey, how are you? Ben, good to see you. I'm not giving any oxygen ever again to the whys. But there are a lot of people out here that are really bummed out. A lot of people in the community that are bummed out, and that sucks. It is. Trips Captain, good to see you. It's a choice. It's a choice to be happy. Happy's not going to knock on your door. Hi, I'm happy. I'm here to hook you up. All you got to do is sit back and relax. Rise higher. Good to see you. Doesn't happen that way. So today I got up and I made a point of saying, you know what? Today's the day I'm going to be happy. Wicked Tinkers. Wicked Tinkers? Why do I not know you? Wicked Tinkers. Doesn't sound familiar. You made it. Carry on. I'm glad you're here. Hey, Virginia, what's happening? Glad you're here. Carry on. Good to see you. Sandy. Hey, Shelly Kelly's here too. Shelly Kelly, what's happening? Teresa, glad that you're here. So, honestly, I've been giving a lot of thought lately to this, and I've been struggling. I've been fairly open and honest of late, and I had a therapy session, which really helped a lot. And it was from the kindness of somebody in the lifeboat that bought it for me, actually. You know, I had said that I was only going to be doing my therapy once every other week. And someone said, you know what, that's not going to work for you. And they're right. They're right. I feel a lot better having started up my therapy again. I really do. I feel an awful lot better having started up therapy again. But in general, I feel like there's been there needs to be a paradigm shift. There really does. I love what we set out to do here. It's very unique. It really is. What we set out to do is unique. This is an organization of people that get together every day, hoping to make themselves better. Sadly, you'll always have a job. Sadly, you'll always have a job. But you know what, people? Yeah, it is how it works. It is. We're not going to say fake it till we make it, but we're going to say you're going to live as if. And that's what I did. I got up today and I said, today I'm going to live as if. I'm going to live as if the world isn't pissing me off. I'm going to live as if I'm not under attack. And I'm going to live as if today I'm just a happier individual. And I'll be damned if I didn't find myself a happier individual. And funny things happen. You find yourself, hey, Tampa B, good to see you. You find yourself making time for people that you didn't think you had time for. Like going outside with Hux and playing ball a little bit more, or just doing things that require a choice. You have to make a choice, right? And the choice is to do the things required to make you happy. And sometimes when you start those choices, you don't feel like they're going to make you happy, right? You don't. Sometimes going out, I'm not the most social person in the world. I had a ball going out with Quibs yesterday. I really did. I had a really good time, but I don't, I've gotten to a point in my life where I'd rather not be out. And I know that that's just weird, but I've gotten to a point in my life where I would rather be home, and I would rather be in a very secluded place with less people around. Doesn't It's a change, right? There was a time in my life where I didn't want to be alone ever, because alone was a time where I was going to have to reflect on who I was. So I like to be in a room of people. Even if I hated the room of people, I still needed noise, and I still needed people, and I needed lights and sound. Nightclubs were friggin' fantastic, right? Nightclubs were friggin' fantastic because you got sounds and you got lights, and there are people walking by, and there's women waving and guys going up and buying drinks, and there's just so much crap going on that it was a great distraction, right? It was a great distraction for a lot of years. Thank you, Lynn Sanity. Look at that. Lynn Sanity's throwing them out like hot sauce packets and turning folks green. And you know what? Everybody here looks better in green. I've said it before. I'll say it again. You guys really look good in green. But I'm very serious about this, right? I'm very serious about this. I went out for great amounts of my life. I went out and I did everything within my power to try to drown out the sound, to try to drown out the misery. And I did that with alcohol. Never had a drinking problem. But there was a time in my life, hello, Robin Miners, where I went out every night drinking. Not because I had a problem with alcohol, but because the places that I went with the lights and the sound and the women, they served alcohol. And in order to hang out inside there, you had to buy it. And I always kind of looked at it at the time as just another abusive substance. I didn't necessarily like it, but may as well throw 4 or 5 more on, because the desire was to make all of those feelings of inadequacy go away. Right. I mean, that's what Friday night was for. That's what Saturday night was for. That's 7 days a week was my mission in life, honestly. But on the weekends for sure. And anything I could do to feel different in my own skin, right? Anything I could do to feel like I was not a freak. You love being green on the lifeboat? You know what? At this point, Tampa B, there wouldn't be a lifeboat if you weren't on it. I mean that. You have become such a part of this channel. There's so many of you that I could say that about, but I love Barb. You're such a huge part of this channel. Really are. I absolutely love you. Olive Juice, good to see you. Glad that you're here. So I went out like everybody else did, and I threw chemicals into my body to try to make myself feel different. Nightclubs were great. They were also a great place to pick up women, right? And that was another one of the things. It was like I was just talking about on Cults and Crims before I came over here. Quibs talked about it too. We do dope, right? And then we become promiscuous as hell. Not because sex with strangers is fun, because this may come as a shock to you, but it's not. It starts to wear out your soul pretty quickly. But I slept with everybody that would sleep with me. It was a lifestyle choice for a lot of years, because if that person would accept me, right, and take her clothes off, I couldn't be that bad a human being, right? I couldn't be that messed up. This person was willing to have sex with me, and that was a really shitty way to feel good about yourself, especially if the insecurities you have as a human means that you're never going to talk to this person again anyway. Then they would become real. And I didn't want anybody real in my life, if that makes sense. I didn't want anybody real in my life at all. Mock, good to have you here. These days, life is very different. It really is. It's a very different. It's a very different animal today. Um, and it's. I'm going on. I'm closing in on a decade off my drug of choice, and every single day, I cross new bridges. I get new epiphanies. One of the things that has made the relationship that oh, you know what, Linsanity, it means the world to me. I don't know how much I could. Darcy, good to see you. It's difficult for me to put this into words. It really is. How much it means to me when people say that the lifeboat changed them and helps them. It there's nothing that feels better to me on earth than that. It's the world's greatest feeling, and it means the world to me, Linsanity. And I'm glad to hear that. I really am. One of the whether you like my girlfriend or you don't like my girlfriend, everybody will agree that Reese is incredibly open. Uh, she doesn't, and one of the reasons that some people don't like her is that reason that she is just too damn open. Oh, Renee B, I love that. Renee B is thanking the people that bought memberships. And it is a beautiful thing. It's one of the coolest things in the world, as far as I'm concerned. I love it when people give a gift of a membership. I love that. I really do. 6 months. Hold on one second. Boy, I'll tell you what, man, my eyes are going. You should be in medical assisted living within 10 days. Thank God. How good is that? I love it. I love it, Linsanity. I love it. I really do. So the girl I'm with is open and honest in a way that most people are uncomfortable with, and it's the greatest gift in the world. I recommend it. I really do. If you've never been with somebody who is ridiculously open and honest, I suggest giving it a try. There are times, and she would be the first to tell you, Coach Lisa, good to see you. There are times that she can step on your feelings by accident, uh, but she doesn't do it on purpose. And I think that's one of the rarest things that I've ever come across. Most of the people that I've met in my life have gone out of their way to say some of the cruelest things that they could come up with. And one of the things that I will say about my friend is that she has never said anything to hurt me intentionally ever. And I think that that's a really a beautiful thing to be able to say. And it's also a feeling that if you know that in your partner, if you know that anything they say is never intended to hurt you, it's a beautiful building place to work from. And it's allowed me to explore some things in my life, especially in the last 4 or 5 months. A lot of you have said that I seem happier, that I seem more grounded, and a lot of really lovely things have been said, and I credit that to the fact that I'm choosing. I'm choosing on a daily basis to try to be a better person. Franklin, good to see you, my friend. And here's the thing: I've been doing that for a long time. Hey, love, Mama Bear. I've been doing that since I got sober. This is not new, right? It really isn't. What's new is I've got somebody to push me. I have somebody that you guys have watched us have conversations, and people either love that or hate it. But we have very open and honest conversations where we kind of share our thought processes with the world. And I'm here to tell you that that goes on so much when you're not watching. The kind of stuff that you watch when we do live, we do all the time alone. And there are times where she'll go, you know, I don't agree. It's a beautiful thing to have somebody disagree with you and do it in such a way that has no malice, you know? It's the kind of thing that can stretch and push you. I pray, literally, that everyone gets a shot at this at some time in their life. And I'm not here to tell you that it is the easiest thing I've dealt with, because it's not. It's a challenge. It really is. But I don't know, man. If your relationships aren't a challenge, maybe you're not doing them right.
It's so sweet.
Huh? Why, thanks. What are you eating? Nice. Ben and Jerry's. What are you doing, kid? Hey, call one of your. Okay, it's all right. Kid can come over here. See, kid comes over to jump on my lap because she knows that Moose isn't going to mess with her if she's with the admiral. Come on, come here. He's a good girl. Come here. She's going to complain. See, every time you try to, kid complains more than any cat in the world, and it's always just this little like kind of pathetic little. Hey, you know what? Quibs is listening. She doesn't always do that. Hey, Barbie, good to see you. Glad that you're here. I just realized Quib came in because she was listening. Doesn't always happen. But that's always fun. Tamber June, good to see you. I'm glad you're here. Hey, Kim Roy, how are you? But so this happiness thing, right? About $1 billion a year gets spent on books telling you how to be happy. I came here last night and I did a video saying, you want to come by and get pissed off? Truth, what I was going to talk about. Hey, Monica M, what I was going to talk about in that video, my raisins shrunk up. Keep it real. My raisins shrunk up and I didn't have the guts to go through with it. Robert, good to see you. I was going to talk about politics in this country. For real. That was what that conversation was going to be about. But you can't. You literally can't. And I didn't want to talk about who's running for president, right? I didn't want to talk about that. I just wanted to talk about the division and the hatred. I just wanted to talk about what this is going to look like between now and November because it's going to suck. Susie with an S, good to see you. Mint chocolate chip. Well, there you go. There's nothing wrong with mint chocolate chip. If you got to do it, you may as well do it right. The elections are going to come, and people are going to come in the comment section, and they're going to say crazy things. And I'm going to offend people right now, but I don't want to hear crazy things, right? I don't want to hear people describe their political enemies as Nazis, right? Or members of cults of any kind, or throw around verbs. When someone comes and says that one political party or another is a Christo-fascist cult or any other such cult, my girlfriend has been in a couple of them, right? One she was born into and one that she was screwed into living with an asshole who happened to be in one. Those are cults, right? Those are cults. And when people throw those words around as insults, it's stupid. I'm sorry, it is. It's like I talked about a post that somebody did a while back talking about comparing a politician who's running for president to a plane flying into the towers, right, on 9/11. And I lost friends during 9/11. It was a very offensive post to me. It really was. It was so offensive. But here's what you've got to remember, right? That half of the country disagrees with you. I don't care what you think. Doesn't matter what you think. Doesn't matter which candidate you think is a savior and the other one is Satan. Half of the country disagrees with you. You get it? So we got to get our shit together because we know that half the country disagrees with us, and it's not like it used to be. Disagree doesn't mean, well, I'm not a Democrat, so we're probably not going to agree on politics, but we're good. It's not that way anymore, right? It's not that way anymore. Now we got to call each other names, and we got to talk about safe spaces. Because if you say the name of the candidate nearby me, I'm going to need to play with friggin' Play-Doh, right? And have sidewalk chalk to go outside and take notes. Sorry, not being a shit, but just being honest. We're going to go nuts between now and the election. We're all going to go nuts, and I'm not going to have it here. I friggin' promise you, I'm not going to have it here. So maybe we can all agree to just honestly leave it alone. That the only caveat I'm going to say to this is this: when the chips are all done and the characters are on the chessboard, right, and everybody's lined up for this, somebody is going to address the issue on the border and how we're going to deal with the stopping of fentanyl coming across. And I'm going to listen to both of the candidates, and I'm going to pick one. And it is where politics and my job intersect. So I will give my opinion, and I'll lose half of you, which is amazing, right? But I will. However, when we come up to this election, to me, this is the only issue. It makes it really easy too, by the way, because it's the only issue. The number one cause of death in this country, we're not doing anything about. We're spending shit tons of money that no one's actually getting. Trillions and trillions of wasted dollars on the war on drugs and a $30 billion budget right now that no one's even touching because they don't know what the hell to do with the money. We allocate funds that don't even get spent. But right now, your kid is twice as likely to die of a drug overdose than a car wreck. Wrap your head around that. You know, it does feel better to be nice than not be a jerk, Tampa Bay. It does. It does. You know, I'd like to say something else too. Substance use disorder nurse. Sorry, just reading a few comments here, people. I don't know, people. I have high hopes. I'm probably freaking alone. Hey, Swedish Lena, but I have really high hopes. I really do. I have high hopes. I believe that as a society, right? And I don't mean everybody, right? Because there's always going to be idiots. But as a society, we're starting to put it together. And the proof to that is the fact that the media has a 7% approval rate, which means it doesn't matter which side of the equation you lean to, you don't believe the news. That should be enough for all of us to rally around. I mean it, right? If 93% of the country thinks the news is lying to you, well, they probably are. And if they're lying to 93% of us, that means that they're lying to Republicans, Democrats, and independents the same. Shouldn't that be enough? Right? Shouldn't that be enough? If we can't trust them, regardless of which side of the aisle we're on, well, then there's a problem. It reminds me of prison, people. I can't tell you how much it reminds me of prison. If the Republicans and the Democrats hate each other, well, then we're a lot easier to control. Yeah? If we can't even get together on a weekend as you know, different political parties and be friends, they're going to control this country so freaking easily. It's incredible. And sadly, that's the end game. See, inside prison, if whites and blacks get along, right? If whites, blacks, Mexicans, if all of the races were to get along, then the prison staff gets really nervous, right? Because it's us against them all of a sudden. If we don't have an enemy to be at each other's throats all day, we might decide to be pissed off about bad food, shitty wages, right? 2 rolls of toilet paper a week. The kind of things that inmates actually get angry about, that's the kind of stuff that inmates would be getting angry about. Or stuff like, how about this one? You get 57 days of good time a year. I'm sorry, 58 days of good time a year as a federal inmate, but you don't. But you don't. The math never comes out to that, ever. And they'll admit that, well, they don't prorate. So whatever you did for the last year doesn't count. And there's a lot of other stuff that goes in. So you really end up getting about 40 some odd days of good time a year, even if you're doing everything right. You're supposed to get the 58. Well, if we weren't busy all hating the color of your skin, well, then we might start filing on stuff like that. And they don't want that. And I realize that it may seem silly, but it's a microcosm. It really is. You understand that if we all get along, how friggin' dangerous we'd be. And I don't mean Americans. I mean, that'd be a hell of a start. But what if the entire country got along? Right? Then really crazy stuff would start coming out, like the shocker that we grow enough food to feed everybody on the planet 4 times. For real. It's not a matter of not having enough food on planet Earth for the people who are here. There's way more than we need. Way more. For real. We could grow enough in Texas to feed the planet. Wouldn't need to go anywhere else. We could pick 6 other states and do the same thing. Never need to go anywhere else. It has nothing to do with that. It's the fact that none of us can get along. For real. This world could be such a better place, man. I know I sound I know I sound like I'm going to start singing Kumbaya, but you know what? Tommy Bird, good to see you. But I'm blown away. I'm blown away at the level of hate that we all start feeling toward each other. For real. Forget YouTube. Holy crap. I could just talk about content creators crapping on each other and do it for the next 3 days. You know the beautiful thing? I don't have to. Gotta love it. I don't have to say the name of one of them because you know who I'm talking about, right? Every one of you does. We all know people who spend their time tearing other people down instead of building people up, you know? And it makes you do a lot less I don't know, people. At this point, if I can't bring people together, I'm not interested. I'm not kidding. This connection stuff, it's not just a way to sell super chats. It's really not. It's not just a way to keep you guys hanging out. This is really massive stuff, right? It really is. It's massive stuff. I do need an acoustic guitar, Krista Melinda. Sadly I can't play one. I write on a harmonica though. I can fart around on a harmonica. It's more of a prison instrument though. You know what I mean? It's a little harder getting a guitar in there, but you can always have a harmonica. They would actually let you have those in the cell too, which was crazy. But that's where I learned to play the harmonica. By the way, I had a cellmate that gave me one. He was going home, and he said, "You want my blues harp?" And I drove my cellmates insane practicing on that. We are connected. Boy, we are, right? We really are. And I'll tell you something. I don't corner the market on positive energy or have the only positive channel out there. I don't. There are a lot of other people putting out really positive content. There are great channels, and some of them are still small and haven't taken off yet. And I'll tell you something: if you've never been on that end of a YouTube channel, when you got a channel where you're watching it and going, "These guys are awesome, right? This is a great show. Why are there only 30 people here?" That's the greatest time you're ever going to have on YouTube. I mean it, because people are talking about stuff that matters, and it's in such a small place that you can actually start getting stuff done. Hey, Ray, good to see you. Can you talk about the astronauts who are stuck in space? This is going to come as a shock to you. I have no idea what you're talking about. Isn't that horrible? If we have astronauts stuck in space currently, I didn't know about it. That's frightening. Sorry, hold on one second. I'm sorry. Bear with me, people. Yeah, if anyone else wants to bring me up to speed on that. What the world needs is more love and connection. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And you know what? There'll be a couple of books this year that tell you about happiness, and they're not going to mention that. And if you go to your doctor and you tell them, I'm struggling with this, or this, they're not going to ask you, do you spend any time around other human beings? It's a really logical effing question, but they don't ask it. You know what would be another good one too? You eating 3 meals a day. Are you eating 3 meals a day? You have breakfast? Yeah. It's amazing to me how myopic we become when we start feeling poorly, when we start having any problems at all. Oh no. Ray says, I got the pills for my colonoscopy in the mail. Not looking forward to the 29th of this month. Hey, Kenya, good to see you. Glad you're here. I kind of want to have Ray's having a colonoscopy party on the 29th. We'll just maybe pop some bottles here and, have a little celebration. Ray, honestly, I'm proud of you, man. Karma Chameleon, good to see you. I have gotten a lot of colonoscopies. I've had some issues back there in my life, and I've had a lot of them. Karma, if I can do anything to help you keep you on the straight and narrow, boy, would I love that. Miss G says, I went today and the doctor asked me if I was, the S word, thinking of unaliving yourself. Kenya, I'm doing all right. It's good to see you. It was one of my favorite jokes, and I saw an older guy do it when I was incarcerated, and I stole it and made it my own. But whenever you get to a new yard, the first thing they do is they have to come up and ask you a whole series of questions, and you've been asked the same questions literally 20 times at every prison you go to, but they come up and they say, is there any reason you can't be put in general population? Do you have to be put in protective custody? Right. That's the first question. You go, no, I'm okay. I can be in general population. And then they go through this series of other questions, and one of them is, do you want to hurt anybody? Right? Do you want to hurt yourself? These are questions that they ask, and they usually ask if you want to hurt yourself first. Do you want to hurt yourself? Of course not. Right? Do you want to hurt anyone else? And I watch this old man, and they always do it between the glass. You're locked on the other side of the glass, and this old man slammed against the glass as the woman was talking to him, really like fast, and went, "Well, you're starting to piss me off with all these dumb questions." So I did it more tongue in cheek, but I always got a laugh out of it. Used to help pass the time. Well, Kathy Ann, your search is more well informed than I am. Apparently, 2 astronauts went to the ISS space station to test a Boeing Starliner and got stuck due to mechanical issues. They're saying they're going to try to bring them back on a SpaceX flight. Oh, it's frightening. How much food are we talking about? Have these guys got food, water, oxygen, that kind of good stuff? Do you feel like you've seen a movie about this a couple of times? I don't think I've ever said hello to you. Welcome to the boat. I'm glad you're here. Haven't we seen a movie about this? Hasn't there been a bunch of movies where they got to send somebody up to save? What are you doing, kid? Kid sits like a human. If you could see the way this cat sits, it just sits with its legs out, and its girth kind of just, geez, such a good kitty, though. What a good girl. Ah, did you just bite me? Okay, I take that back. Maybe she's not such a good girl. She does these little love nips. It's not that big a deal, but she does do it. Yeah, Kristen Melinda says I have to ask people daily if they won't hurt others. Not really, but sometimes I wish I could punch so and so. Well, it's kind of a good answer, isn't it? You know, I, they, I think a lot of times people ask you questions, right? And they don't really want an answer to them. Do you know that when you go to court, I don't know if you guys have, the vast majority of you have probably never been convicted of a crime or pled guilty to a crime. But when you do, when you go into court and you plead guilty to a crime, the judge has to sentence you, right? This is actually interesting stuff, just for kind of behind baseball. They should have been in space for 8 days, but they've now been there for more than 2 months and have to stay until February. The ISS does have reserve supplies of oxygen and food. Holy crap. That sounds like it sucks. That's frightening stuff right there, for real. And I'm pretty sure I have seen this in a movie. Do the results of addiction manifest the same no matter what addicted to? Absolutely they do. Absolutely they do. The reason that we call this the lifeboat, Tampa Bay, is because it doesn't matter what you're addicted to. And the people who are good at this no longer talk about being addicted to chemicals. They talk about being addicted to chemicals or habits, right? Because habits will do the exact same thing in your brain. This is something that is, I think this may have been one of the hardest things for me to understand from an addiction standpoint, right? Is that uh, our body, our brain is producing the chemicals that are getting us high. We're using chemicals. Hey, Patty Collins. Hey, Katie. We're using our brain chemicals to get high, right? But the guy that's gambling on a football game or the guy that's gambling on a poker game is getting the same chemicals in his brain that you'd be getting if you were doing blow. For real, this stuff's been studied. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a substance. It can be a habit. There are things that we can do habitually, but absolutely, the symptoms are going to, this is the same. We're all in the same boat, regardless. I promise you, we're all in the same boat. It's fascinating. If you've ever seen a kid where you take away their cell phone, right? You can watch videos of this where they take away a kid's cell phone and they go, you're not going to have any cell phone access for 4 hours. You did X, Y, or Z. And for the next 4 hours, there's no phone. And they pace back and forth in the room and they rub their arms and it looks exactly like a junkie waiting for the dope man to deliver their issue, right? To deliver the dope for the day. You could not tell the difference, I promise you. And gamblers are the same way. You know, a gambler waiting to get into a casino, waiting online to place a bet, especially if it's close to the end of a game, or if you've ever been to a dog track or a horse track, and you watch the gamblers. It's the high that they get while they're waiting. You know, it's that moment of not knowing whether or not the money you just spent is coming back or lost. You know, and that moment is just as addicting as anything else. It's fascinating to me. It really is. V. McWilliams says, I always say reasonable minds can differ and we can still get along. You do realize, V. McWilliams, that that puts you into a very small segment of the society, right? A really small part of our society agrees with you. Yes, addiction is addiction. You're right, Tommy. I know I have patience with all addictions, not just drugs or alcohol. And it's fascinating. It's literally fascinating to watch how addictions affect people, right? We understand them. I think we expect it when it's a white powder, right? You know, we expect it if your habit requires you smoking or shooting something, but it's a little bit more difficult when when they're a little bit harder to identify. Sorry. Recently wondered if heroin would really numb out the pain that good. I can't even score weed. Well, here's the thing. Would heroin knock the pain out for you? Yeah, it would. Now, would it knock it out for you the way that it did for me? I don't know. I was made for that substance, or that substance was made for me. I don't know how. I guess it depends on how you look at that. I've never overdosed on that substance, no matter how hard I tried. Uh, I never got sick from it. I just was really. It was a very different thing for me than it was for other people, which is odd, but it really has been. I love it, Renee B. I really do. I love that. I really do. I love that. You know what? That's harm reduction too, right? It's harm reduction. People, boy, I make friends when I say this, but I don't preach abstinence. I really don't. I would love for everybody to be abstinent and not do any drug. I would love that. I don't think it's particularly realistic, right? I use there are drugs I still use. And I don't BS anybody about that, right? I take gummies before I go to sleep every night. I help with nightmares. I take buprenorphine every day to help with uh, opiate abuse disorder, and I'm down to really minuscule amounts of it, but I still think I need it. I do. I have no guilt whatsoever from my harm reduction life. None, none. My quality of life is freaking fantastic, and I spent 46 years believing I couldn't be happy if I didn't put needles in my arms. So I don't feel any guilty for the life that I'm living. I really am not. Carol Ann, good to see you. So, yeah, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, Kenya. You're absolutely right. And you know what? This also gets back to my girlfriend for real. And this is something that um, it's an evil twin sister. Wow. Dated an addicted gambler for 10 years. He would get manic thinking about casino. Yeah. We'd go. He lost his money, and I sat in the bar. I guess we both fed our addictions. You know something? I used to go to the casino with an ex wife who had a unbelievably serious drinking problem. And that's what would happen. She would take, I don't know, $100, $200 and go sit at a machine and play nickel slots or whatever and just drink herself into an oblivion. And I was usually it was a there were four of us. We used to go out as a couple, and I would go with my best friend from high school, and his girlfriend used to come out, and we were only there because he was such a degenerate gambler that it was the only way he was capable of having fun. Becky, good to see you. Literally, the only way he was capable of having fun is if he was gambling. And he was so, I'm not being funny. This isn't a punchline. I'm not trying to be humorous because it's not. But we would be on the way to the casino, right? And he would say, see that car in front of us? I'll bet you $20. There's two ones in the license plate. And I would go, what? And he'd go, what do you want to bet? There's at least two ones in the license plate. And the first time he did it, I thought it was a prop bet. Like this guy obviously knows the plate, right? And he just kept doing it so much. I'm like, fine, screw it, dude. I'll bet you, right? And there wasn't. I got up. I'm like, he's like, hey, I lost. He handed me the money, and he's like, all right, see that car up there? I'm like, you can't wait to get to the casino to gamble. Like you literally got to gamble on license plates on the way to the casino. Like what the hell's wrong with you? Crazy thing is, you know what's wrong with him? The same thing that's wrong with me. Exact same thing that's wrong with me. I'm not comfortable in my own skin. So I found ways to make myself comfortable in my own skin. And I did it with heroin and I did it with sex and I did it with, right, crime, money, all those things. They didn't work. Never worked. I mean, heroin worked when you were on it, but unfortunately, you give up your entire life so that you can feel comfortable in your own skin. For the gambler, he feels comfortable in his own skin while that, and you say, but how long can that last? But it's so much more insidious than this. It's not just the gambling, it's the default setting. The gambler's default setting is I just lost all my money. I'm broke. And I need to figure out where the next money is going to come from for the next bet. And the crazy thing is, if you gave them $150,000, they would burn through it as fast as they can because they don't know how to have $150,000. That's winning. And they don't know how to win. It's sad. It really is. And it's not wildly different than what I was doing, right? Except for me, it was tar. But I was going to the second I got the dope and I did my last shot and the alarm, the clock started ticking. Right? The second you did the last shot, the clock started ticking. I had 8 hours to come up with $700 because in 8 hours I was going to be sick. Now, I didn't have to have the full 800. I could have 100. I could have 50, enough to get well so you could go and steal and do whatever you had to do. But it was looking back on the life. It's just amazing I'm here. CJ Harris, good to see you. Hey, Catty Connie, good to see you. Sex? What the hell is that? Yeah, I know. Yeah. I used to, these days, actually, I kind of remember again, but it has been a minute. There are all forms of I don't know how to be happy. Kristen Melinda. I don't know how much better you could say that than that. Could you? Can you think of a better way to say it than that? Hot Peps, God bless you. Huh? Listen to this. Where is it? You realize the level of intelligence it takes to say that sentence out loud? Fentanyl is the only reason that I've been able to stay sober off pills. I won't risk it. Well done. Well done. The vast majority of us who spent a lot of time on opiates think we're bulletproof. We think that it doesn't apply to us. Yeah, fentanyl will kill you, right? It won't kill me. I'm a different addict, right? I had a 7 gram a day habit. It's not going to kill me, right? It's the mindset of every single person that ever did an opiate. Well, even if we don't want to admit it. So I think you're a genius, Hot Pet. I think you're a freaking genius. Proud of you, man. I mean it. Take that in the spirit that I mean that. But I can't begin to tell you how intelligent that is, man. I can't begin to tell you how intelligent that is. It's amazing to me. It really is. Yep, Tommy, he won 70K and I begged him to leave. Nope, had to stay until he lost it all. Oh, if you knew how many times I've watched that show. If you knew how many times I watched that show. Methamphetamine within the state of Nevada, the people who do it very often gamble because gambling is legal. It's 24 hours a day and it's a tweaking thing, right? You're doing something with your hand that it's a very, very popular thing in Nevada. And I knew a ton of guys that were addicted to gambling. And I've told the story on here before, but I had a really close friend who used to play Keno. And he would play on a machine, digital Keno, and he would play $1 Keno. And it's this fast, right? As fast as you can hit the button. It's literally that fast. And he hit for 60 grand. And he called me on the phone. He said, "Hey man, I got $60,000." I was like, "No kidding." He said, "Yeah." He goes, "I need some dope." So I went and met him at the casino and he gave me like 5 grand to go get dope with. And when I came back, I said to him, you blew it all, didn't you? It took me like 2 hours to go get the stuff. And I said, "Did you blow it all?" He said, "Nah, I hit for 90 on top of the 60." So by the time I got there, he had about $125,000 in cash, right? In chips. And I mean, just balling all the money in the world. I said to him, "Please, dude, leave with me, man. Please leave with me. Let's get out of here." And he goes, "Yeah, I'm gonna either continue to win, or when I get to 100,000, I'm walking out the door." And I looked at him and I knew there was no chance in hell of that happening. I knew there was not a snowball's hell chance that was going to happen, and it didn't. He stayed there. It took him a day and a half. But he called me and he said, "Do you still got any of that dope left?" Because when he bought it, right, he's balling. He's got all the money in the world. So he bought what in the drug world, it's called a pedazo, a piece. It's 25 grams, right? 40 pieces in a kilo. So it's a 25 gram block of the drug. And he gave me one, right? Because he had all the money in the world at that point, right? So when I hooked him up, he's like, "You can keep one, man. Keep one for yourself." I said, "Thanks." And he called me a couple of days later and said, "Hey, you still got any of that left?" And I was like, "No, but I can go pick up more if you want. You got any money?" Man, you blew 120K. 120. You can buy a house for $120,000, right? I mean, I'm not talking about not getting a 5-bedroom house with a pool, but to just piss it down the drain. And he had to. He had to because his default setting was, "I'm broke. I've just lost and I need a miracle." It's amazing. It's amazing what the human mind can become addicted to. Think about that. And I know a lot of you here are listening to me going, "Oh, yeah, well, I was worse than that." Right? I mean, look at me. I got to get up in the morning and go steal shit. And that didn't seem messed up. It doesn't see you give up yourself in increments, in really small, itty bitty increments. You give up more of yourself and you give up more in yourself. If you're in that game today, it doesn't have to be drugs. Sure as shit obvious though when it is, isn't it? But if you're in the drug game and you're giving that up, I'm telling you right now, a day is going to come where stealing every day will seem normal to you, or selling oral sex so that you can go get your next fix will just be part of the day. Such a messed up thing to think about, isn't it? Squirrel Girl, you're not alone, says Tampa B, and I'm not sure why she said it, but I trust her. So big time, actually. The city you live in has all those gas stations with slot machines on the other side of town. Gambling is not legal, but they get around it by having gift cards as winnings. Oh, lovely. Oh, lovely. Uh, you know what? It's a disgusting habit. And it's like anything else. You know what? If you go to Vegas and you go once a year and you bet on the Super Bowl and it's the only thing, moderation, there's nothing wrong with gambling. There's nothing wrong with gambling. You got $1,000 you want to put on a football game, and losing that $1,000 isn't going to damage your family. It's not going to not put food on the table. Who cares? Who cares? But if you're doing that and it's taking food off the table. And you're doing that every single weekend, right? Anything that you're doing that you cannot control. You understand this is not a very difficult concept, yeah? If the things that you're doing you no longer can slow down or stop, then you need help. Then you need help. And it's not the end of the world to say I need help. It's the start of the world. That's no shit either. Your world begins with that phrase, I need help. I'm not going to make this alone. Goes against every single thing that they teach you, right? As a kid, independence, you don't need anybody, you can do this on your own, right? Feels really foreign, especially if you're a guy. I promise it is a different dynamic. It is. There's the Yohari, the box, right? That guys are put in. It's just a different kind of a box, right? We don't cry. We're tough, right? All that garbage. Didn't work for me. Promise you, it does not work for me. When my grandpa died, we had to go to the casino to find his friend to tell him. Oh, wow. Yeah. And I used to really dig casinos. I used to count cards with a friend of mine. We used to go in and count cards. I've told the story on here, I think, before, but I had somebody donate a lot of money to the lifeboat, and God forgive me, we took a bunch of it to a casino. We did. And before anybody loses their mind on me, I discussed it with the person donating it. I said, they said, boy, I wish I could have donated twice that. I said, you know what? We might be able to turn it into twice that. And before any of you judge me for this either, it's not gambling, it's counting cards. It's a completely different concept. It's literally just ripping off a casino legally. They only let you get away with it once. But I took a friend from prison and we did actually go in and count cards. And it worked beautifully. We didn't double it, but we came really close to doubling it. And then we went and got an entire rehab full of people on their last chance and bought medical assisted treatment for all of them. It was a pretty beautiful thing. Kenya says cocaine was a slow creeper for me. I didn't realize what was going on until I couldn't really function properly without it. It was my mask. Yeah, you know what, Kenya? Boy, I get it. I get it. I was fooling no one, really, just myself. You know what, Kenya? Boy, oh boy. You could put any other drug in there, by the way. You really could. You could put any how many people know exactly what she's talking about, right? Didn't really think it was that big a deal until I realized that I can't live without it. Right? This is I lean on this so hard to be able to get up and function, to just be able to carry out the day to day. It's a hard thing to wrap your brain around. It really is. Hello. Great to see you, my brother. Hope things are good in Israel. You're always in my thoughts and prayers. Yeah, Tamber June says, I know what it's like. Oh, wow. Tommy Bird says, I got jumped by a couple of security guards at an Indian casino once just because I whipped my cell phone out at the blackjack table accidentally without thinking. You know what? They used to really freak out about stuff like that. They don't anymore at all. They really don't. Now, if you take your cell phone out, they'll go, please don't do that at the table. But they're not. I remember a day when they used to lose their mind about it, like for real, lose their mind about it. Now, you know what? This is worth mentioning, and it's not going to make some people happy, but the United States government actually had a hearing about this, and there are 33 states that allow people to play poker legally. Now, we don't have 33 states that will allow you to gamble legally, but what they determined was that poker is not a game of chance. And you got to know that that's the truth. If you're a fan of poker and you watch poker, the same cats keep ending up at the final table. With 10,000 people starting out, what are the odds that the same cats keep ending up at the final table? These are people who are very, very good at this. This is not a game of of luck. It's a game of skill. And it is. Poker is a very different game. It's not gambling. It's not. It's a game of odds. It's a game of percentages. Completely different. Now, doesn't mean I'm justifying it because I know some degenerate gamblers who only play poker, right? There are those out there. But if I go to a casino, that's definitely what I'm playing because you're not playing the house, right? The house isn't going to lose. They don't ever lose. I'd like to play the suckers who are in there because there's a good chance they will lose. So I'd much rather be at a poker table than doing it at a house table. Sorry, people. It's absolutely inexcusable. I watched somebody do that earlier on a feed, and I said to Quibbs, if I ever blow my nose without muting it, you need to slap me around. So hopefully she's watching because that was awful. Yeah, the blackjack it used to really be an issue. Aw, thank you, Kristen Melinda. Look at that. V Bombs, good to see you. I'm glad that you are here. I really am. And you know what, people? This was a show that was a bit of a rant, and I kind of needed one. But you know what I want the takeaway to be for real? This has been a long day, and I spent a lot of time today talking to Quibbs on and off the air. But yeah, don't wear the the mirrored glasses. That's really funny. They do that in Family Guy. Peter Griffin does that too. The mirrored glasses are probably not a great idea. Mary, I'm glad that you're here. Brewsty, good to see you. But tonight was people. I'm blown away at the number of people who live their day to day and never ask the questions. Right? The people that never ask the questions, why am I the way I am? Is there anything I can do to make myself better? Why am I always upset? I don't think you realize the number of people who just truck through life, going from one miserable day to the next. Don't be those people. Please. For real. Don't take it. You don't have to. Right? Don't suffer in silence. Get a friggin' journal and start writing in it twice a day, minimum. Start writing in a journal. Have you ever read all of the people in the comment section that pop up and write, Tommy, you're so right? Right? I've been journaling for 2 weeks. My life is completely different. Tommy, I've been journaling for 4 months. Things have never been better. Hello? This may come as a shock to you, but I only pay about half of those people. The rest of them are dead serious. I'm kidding. But it really is life-changing stuff. Pay attention to the number of people who keep saying that. You think they all could be wrong? I promise you, right? These are the things that will change your life. Find out who you are. Well, I'm screwed up. No shit. We're all screwed up. We're all screwed up. Quibbs will be the first to tell you she's messed up. I love that about her. Right? And we can all pretty easily go, well, I think it was probably her dad. Right? And then that next douchebag didn't help either. But dad really started her off down the path. It's pretty damn obvious, right? Yeah. It's pretty obvious. You with me? I think we can look at her and go, dad did this. Right? And she certainly has. Spent a lot of time looking about it, a lot of time talking about it, journaling about it, talking to psychiatrists and psychologists about it, talking to me about it. So here's my question. What's screwing you up? No disrespect, but what's screwing you up? Because if you can't answer that question, you need to buy a friggin' journal and start writing in it. Because I promise you, if you don't figure out what is messing you up, you simply can't fix it, right? If you don't know why your dauber is in the dirt, then there's not much chance of you lifting it out. So, again, I almost envy people when the answer is so obvious, right? That it's slapping you in the face. With all due respect to my girlfriend, this is pretty damn obvious what's screwing her up, right? We know why she's struggling. Her dad was an asshat. She grew up in a cult, right? And this moron's still in it. Oh, it's pretty easy. So the question is, what's screwing you up? And I'm going to go figure out what's screwing me up, people. I will be back tomorrow night. Same squirrel time, same squirrel channel. Might even have a surprise for you. But I'm not going to lie to you, people. I'm happy I made an hour. I was a little tired tonight. I've been had a slight change in my medication, which is in my Suboxone. Changed when I was taking it. And it has, I've been dragging a little bit, but I feel better. Did you see this? Yes. The night. She is not a waste, right? This whole show was worth it right there. That's the money shot. Yeah. That's the money shot. Thank you. You're going to thank me later. All righty, people. Hey, cheeky. I don't think I've ever said hi because I love the word cheeky. I'm pretty sure I would have grooved to that because I dig the word cheeky. All right, people. I'll be back tomorrow night. Between now and then, reach out and try to save somebody. God bless.